Hello and welcome back to the Prosperity by Design podcast. I'm your host, Fallon. It's like Jimmy Fallon, but it's my first name. I just picked up my breakfast. I got food in my belly. I feel so much happier than I did about, 2 hours ago now. I just finished up a coaching session, and I wanted to talk in this episode a little bit about my history with coaching, and I want to also kind of cover how my history with crew and sport kind of led me to where I am now in terms of I'm going to be introducing more and more spirituality and human design and more self-development, personal growth content into what I'm going to be doing because there's a whole story here. So I really just want to cover the story in today's episode. So let me just grab my decaf coffee real quick because you know that your girl needs to get a sip of the goods before we get started with this whole thing, because I got up at 3:44 this morning and I just could not fall back to sleep. And it's not like Penelope was up. She has been really rock solid sleeping for about 12 hours. She'll wake up once because she has a bad dream, but she's been sleeping very, very well. And it's any kind of sleep issues that I'm having, it's my own paranoia at this point. So let me grab a sip and then we'll get started. Okay. Try not to spill it everywhere. All right. So here is the tea. I got started in crew back in 2013. So I've been rowing crew. I've been involved with the sport for a decade now. And don't get me wrong, it hasn't been 10 years completely straight. I've had my on and offs with the sport and with coaching. I was rowing in 2013. I stayed rowing until probably around 2016. I took a break. I lived out in Colorado for pretty much the year of 2017 from February to December. And then in 2018, I decided to move abroad. So I didn't really get to do much rowing there. However, when I was living in the Czech Republic, I did see rowers out on I want to say it's Vltava. Am I saying that correctly? If I'm not, please correct my pronunciation. Okay. So I did see rowers while I was there. And when I came home, I had this really profound moment in my mom's kitchen because I had no more money left. And I was so just miserable and so upset. I was like, well, what is one thing that I've always really loved? And I've done so many things. I have been golfing since literally 4 or 5 years old. I ran track and cross country. I've done swimming before. I weightlift. I have been involved in a lot of different things, but the one thing that I keep coming back to because I truly love it is crew. And so I was like, all right, well, if crew is the one thing that has, always been something that I've really loved and has brought me love, then I'm going to do the thing that I love. And so in 2019, the end of 2018, I started rowing again myself. And then in 2019, I continued rowing, but I also got involved with coaching. You can probably hear this loud ass dump truck. It's on the road because, this is my time. This is my time to record, and I didn't want to lock myself with the windows up in the car. So, I'm able to breathe. So you just get to hear the lovely sounds of the road because I'm not home. Anyways, in 2019, I was coaching, and at the time, I was coaching high school crew. The kids there were like, you have to get involved with TikTok, blah, blah, blah. That's not really part of this whole story, but it does have a lot to play with, the overarching story. And so I was like, okay, fine, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Not really into TikTok. At the end of 2019, I was still coaching. And in 2020, things kind of got a little hairy scary because it was pretty apparent that there was going to be something happening in terms of what was going on with this COVID-19 virus. And it was really just a matter of time before the school board and the superintendent was like, nope, we're not doing any activities. Kids aren't coming to school, blah, blah, blah. And So I was coaching for a little while there in 2020. However, come March, it was like, pack everything up, you're going home. And we stayed home for a while. There was a little bit of summer rowing. I wouldn't say it was a whole lot. And it was in August. It wasn't like it was in the actual summer months of June, July, you know? So it was like towards the end of the season, and everything was very separate. It was small boats, singles, doubles. You still had to wear a mask, even in a single and a double. And so we didn't really get to do much coaching in 2020. And then I was like, you know what, in 2021, like, I'm not going to worry about coaching crew. Like, I'm going to take a step back from coaching crew, and I'm not going to take the offer, even though it's still there, because there were a lot of other things going on behind the scenes personally with the coach of that particular team. And I didn't feel comfortable taking that position. So I was like, no, you know, I think this is better suited for someone else. And so I left crew coaching, but I didn't necessarily leave the sport. Again, I was still rowing. But by July, because I was so involved with my online business and all these sales and group coaching and the physical products that I was creating, the digital products I was creating, I was like, you know what, I'm going to take a step back from the sport, because it just started to reach this point of not being enjoyable because of what, you know, the personal circumstances were that were going on. And so in 2021, towards the end of the year, I got pregnant. So I wasn't really comfortable with like going out into the launch by myself, you know, and this was the first time I was pregnant. So I wasn't going to chance anything. And then early 2022, obviously growing a tiny human, wasn't involved with coaching, but I still am involved with very many people in the community. And come after Penelope's born, around August, September of 2022, I see this ad in, you know, the Row 2K website for a crew coach. And I remember I was on the phone with my partner, Tommy, and he was like, well, what can you possibly do? Like, what can you get involved in again? Because I did not get diagnosed with postpartum depression. However, I do feel like I had postpartum depression because I was miserable. I remember there was a day where I was like, she just hates me. Like, she just literally hates me. And that's just not true. It was, you know, like, I was way overtired and I didn't know what to do. And, you know, it was my first time being a mom. Still is my first time being a mom. But I was like so down in the dumps. And now I feel like I'm back to my normal headspace. But it took like a year after Penelope was born for me to get to this point right now. And so in August, September of 2022, he was like, well, what have you done? Like, what can you get involved in that, you know, is going to be good for you? And so I was like, you know, I enjoy coaching. I really do enjoy coaching. And I've had this history of coaching with crew for a while now. And so Tommy was like, then apply for the job, like apply to be a coach again. And so I did. And so I've been coaching for crew for about, you know, since September of 2022. And so the reason why I want to talk about this is because I actually coach in the world. Okay. It's not just, you know, coaching online and I'm just a coach online. No, I actually take the real life experiences that I have coaching teenagers, and trust me, teenagers can be moody little pieces of humans, okay? And coaching teenagers, all of their hormones, all of the things that they're going through, because they're going through a lot, and getting them to a point that they are proficient and efficient in the sport to be able to go and row in college or move on to what it is that they want to see for themselves in the sport. And while it's not necessarily business coaching, one thing I have come to notice is that, you know, it's not necessarily about rowing or about business or about content or about whatever it is that you are seeking guidance, mentorship from, okay? It really is this personal development, self-development thing. It's this self-development journey. And trust me, I'm going to go back to the part of the story where I was talking about postpartum depression. And I'm also going to go back to the part of the story where I was talking about I got pregnant in late 2021. So we said the story, rewinding just a smidge. In late 2021, I had a huge fallout with a coach that I had. And it was this really big, impactful thing internally for me because she had, I don't want to say made me believe, because it's ultimately my choice if I'm going to take on those beliefs. Okay. So it's still, I'm still responsible for making those decisions and those choices and choosing to believe those things. But she had put out into my space for me to choose to take on, and which I did because I didn't understand boundaries. She had put out into my space that, what it took to have a growing, thriving business was to talk about one thing and only be known for one thing. And so from that point forward, probably until maybe last week, I boxed myself into content and marketing. And it just always felt like I always felt confined, or like I'm even making the motion with my body right now. Like my shoulders are kind of coming in, like my body is caving in on itself, right? So that's not expansive, that's contracting, okay? So when you find yourself in this position of contracting, then you're not going to attract what you want to come in. And when I think of like astrology and human design, and like, I wish that I could have a video of this podcast right now so that you could see it. My shoulders and my body language is expanding. And so it was something that I had to learn over the course of these last 2 years. I'm still learning about it and I still enjoy it. It's something that I had to work with one of my very good friends who is going to be coming on the podcast soon to talk all things human design with me, Lindsay. It took working with her to be able to lean into my intuition, be able to understand these topics, like what is going to expand me, what is going to feel good, and to continue in that direction instead of going forward in this very constricted, confined, egomaniacal way of moving forward where it's so controlling. And so that's why I want to talk about how it really is truly this personal development journey, this self-growth journey, because that's when you're going to realize what it is that expands you and what it is that makes you grow and stay in this happier state, because that's when things are going to come into your life and you're going to be like, holy shit, it's just flowing in, right? Understand that I'm not trying to talk about toxic positivity. Like, it's a different episode for a different day, okay? What I'm trying to talk about is being able to go through the shit, okay? Because postpartum depression is not a joke. Like, that year, even being pregnant with Penelope, like, their honest to God is truth in the fact that when you are pregnant with a girl child, your hormones are off the fucking charts, okay? I have not had a boy child, so I cannot say, but I do know that my friend Lindsay, I keep talking about her, like, in this episode, so she might as well just be in this episode. I do know that Lindsay was like, bro, your emotions are just whack right now, so you must be having a girl. And it was very apparent. And so my emotions were whack when I was pregnant, and then they were like whack when I was not pregnant for like a year, okay? And that all aside, point being, it is very important to understand that there is a realisticness to going through the shit, going through the mud, and finding yourself through it. Because the only way to face fear is to go through it. So I wanted to talk about that in this episode. Penelope is going to get dropped off, so I will talk to you soon. Okay, I didn't know that you could do this, and this is absolute magic, but you can stop your recording on your voice memos app and then resume it when you're ready to talk again. Oh my God. Fucking amazing. All right, so I picked up Penelope. She's in the car. We're going to get ready to head on down to school. All right, Penelope Pod. Oh yeah, she's got her graham crackers and she is ready to take on the day. Yeah, love bug. Okay. So I was talking about like this whirlwind of what makes postpartum depression just whack, okay? And it just does. Like it just seriously is just this crazy ass experience. But it really goes to speak to the fact that having a appreciation for life being at its best and at its worst is important, because it's not supposed to be sunshine and rainbows all the fucking time. If it was sunshine and rainbows all the fucking time, you wouldn't really enjoy the sunshine and the rainbows, because you wouldn't understand that, you know, there are good days and there are bad days. So my point with all of this is, I feel like it's really important for myself especially to expand into the human design and the spirituality and the astrology and like all of the things that interest me, that I really truly do want to have a better understanding of and learn about, because I think that if it's going to expand me, it will help expand other people and it will take me where I am desiring to go. And that inner connection that you have to yourself, that intuitive nudge, the pull, whatever you want to call it, really just like knowing who you are and understanding what you want and understanding how you function and what's going to be best for you is always going to be best at the end of the day. So I think it's going to probably end up looking like me going to get my human design certification so that I can help people with this inner journey in their business. Because when I had that falling out back in 2021, it led me to a place for the next almost 2 years. I wouldn't say quite 2 years because it's July of 2023 and it would be 2 years October of 2023, but definitely longer than 18 months that I was very upset and trying to control what it looked like, and I was very depressed and I was very negative on how I approached my business and my content and who was joining my things. And it's no surprise that when I was like, oh, well, only 2 people signed up for my membership in 2022, it's no surprise that no more people signed up, because I literally was saying that it wasn't enough. And that's not true, because when you are born, okay, just the mere fact that you made it onto the earth is amazing. It's everything. The odds of you making it onto earth, I don't have the exact statistic up for me to read to you, but it is so slim. There are so many babies who don't make it. There's so many souls who don't get here. And it's incredible for you to be here. You are worthy to be here because you exist. The mere fact that you exist means you are enough, means that you are worthy. And we all struggle with this internally, partially because of I think it's mostly because of what's going on in society, in all honesty. But it's a different podcast episode for a different day. I literally have to create such a long list of these that it's not even funny at this point anymore. But that's why I have a podcast, right? So, point being, it serves you no good, especially as an entrepreneur, when you approach something from what people call lack mindset. I like to call it a fixed mindset because that's what it is. If you are fixed or fixated on 1 or 2 people in your membership, then you're not going to get any more. Or if you're fixed or fixated on pressuring yourself for more and more and more and more and more, you're constantly going to be stressing your body, you're constantly going to be stressing your system, and you're not going to see it come in, because it's like when you go to chase a cat. That's actually something I heard yesterday on a podcast. When you go to chase a cat, what does the cat do? It runs away. So when you try to get something it's going to run away. So the best thing that you could do if you want to pet a cat is let the cat come to you. Now, if we were to think of it in terms of a storm, if you want to run from the storm will always be chasing you, right? You're not going to be able to escape it. But if you go through it and you get to the other side, then you're going to have a sunny day. So they seem pretty unrelated, but they're entirely related, because when you have a really hard circumstance or situation or scenario, it is going to suck. It's gonna suck. Live in the suck. Let it suck. But then realize that the fastest way to get through it is to do exactly that. Get through it. Because there will be a day on the other side. And the longer that you try and run from it, or the longer that you try and chase it and control it, it's just going to keep slipping through your fingers. Trust me, 18 months later, here I am, and I'm like, I'm not fucking going to chase it anymore. I'm not going to, run after it. It's pointless. I'm going to do what I can control. I'm going to do what is exciting to me. I'm going to do what I like, and that's all that I can do, period. Because I can't make other people do something they don't want to do. Okay? Glad we're all on the same page. So I want to thank you so much for tuning into this podcast, and I also want to thank those of you who have left reviews already. If we have not yet hit the 50 review mark, please be sure to leave a review, and you will be getting a goodie box in the mail. It's not really a surprise, but what's in the box is a surprise. Yeah. Oh, do you need more graham cracker cookies? You got it, pod. So if you need, well, if you want, yeah, here you go. She's hungry. She's a hungry pod. If you are like, yeah, I want to get that goodie box, you know what to do. Fill out a review, take a screenshot, tag me in it, and post it on your stories on Instagram. I'll reach out to you or someone on my team to get the address of where this box has to go. And then, last thing before we really sign off, is going to be the Seasons of Business membership. I am so fucking excited for the Seasons of Business membership. I've been dreaming about this for 2 years, and it is the time. Now is the time to open it up and to activate it, because I don't know that I really like the word activate. That's a different tangent. But it's time. Now's the time. I know that it's the time. It's been, 18 months or so, and I am in a much better place mentally for me to be like, yeah, it's time. And the Seasons of Business is going to be starting between mid-August and the beginning of September. I haven't really made up my mind yet, but what I do know is that it's going to be a very exciting membership. And it is going to be covering not just the inner work, because we do know, it is true, that the online space is as big and saturated as it ever has been, and it's probably only going to continue to get that way. And it's really important for you to have your own unique voice in the sea of voices that is online. And not only that, every business owner talks about how they're in a season of growth or a season of resistance or a season of whatever, and they really don't explain the season or the issues that they are experiencing for you to understand why they talk about this as a season, okay? Why does it last a longer amount of time? So the Seasons of Business membership is going to cover those particular topics. And how do you expect to stand out, number one? Or how do you expect to understand what season you are going to be in or what season you are experiencing if you don't have a foundational understanding of all of it. So the Seasons of Business is going to be covering exactly that. Again, we're going to be starting probably the beginning of September, if not the beginning of September, then the middle of August, because I'm too fucking excited about it. And there's going to be so much to cover, number one, but number two, there's going to be so much expansion that could happen there. I don't know that I really like the word expansion, but you understand what I'm saying. There is going to be so much opportunity for growth because it is going to be like my cornerstone for probably a while. I really am super excited about the membership. I'm super excited about that new environment that I'll be creating. And it's literally like, if you are interested, obviously, in the membership, there's a monthly and then there's going to be the annual. And for the first 20 people who sign up for the annual membership, I am going to be offering not just a free course that is going to be valued at like pretty much $900, but I am also going to be offering a affiliate fee that is very comfortable, and I'm also going to be tossing in so many other bonuses that I am dreaming of right now, and I'm like, okay, I'm waiting for my emotional authority to be like, hell yeah or hell no. So all that to say, the Seasons of Business is going to be starting very, very soon, and I'm super pumped. I cannot wait to see who comes in to that membership, because I think it's going to be fun as fuck. Okay. Glad we covered that. I want to thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. I want to thank you so much for the reviews that you leave. It's always helpful in terms of rating and recommending the podcast to new people on these platforms like Apple or Spotify. And I also want to thank you for being you. Thank you for sticking to your guns. Thank you for making the decisions that you make. Thank you for being you, because nobody else can be you. That's fucking cool as shit. Okay? Glad we had this talk. I'll talk to you later. Bye.